Thank you for turning to page 121. I'm in a bit of a Battletech mood these days, you may have figured out, and I'm going to take a look at one of my old books that I actually really got a kick out of. This is the first Somerset Strikers, the Battletech animated series source book. Yes, this is the source book of the mid-90s animated Battletech. And we meet the clans. Nikolai Malthus is our main bad guy, and Kristen Redmond and all that. And we get Steiner. They made a mistake. They attacked my home world. And so Adam Steiner, a distant relation to Melissa Steiner, who is on the throne, the Archon of the Lyran Commonwealth, and he is fighting against the clans. And that's I think it went 13 episodes, the animated series that was on Fox Kids in the mid-90s. I loved the show. I was playing all the games, the video games at the time. I was really into Battletech through the 90s into the early 2000s. Later in the 90s, I started playing at a game store where we did regular Battletech events and even a couple of tournaments. And just had a lot of fun with Battletech. The store closed around '01, and that kind of broke up everybody playing Battletech. So now I still play with my group, but not all that often. But the reason this book is fun is because it is of the animated series. And we get a nice intro about that. I'm not going to go through every page of the book. I'm just going to show some of the highlights. But we get an episode guide to all 13 episodes, what happens in it. Episode 5A, I don't remember what that is. The cast of characters and what they do. And this game is fun because they're mech pilots, they're fighting in combat armor, they're flying in aerospace fighters, all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, the clan guys come in, and when the clan guys come in, they switch over to advanced imaging and or enhanced imaging, I'm sorry, and they have, then the show itself goes to a computer schematic of the Battletech cartoon mechs fighting each other. And this is around the time, too, that they had the pods at the various Battletech stores around. They had one here in Chicago. I think it was at Navy Pier, but don't hold me to that. But the pods were a lot of fun. We did that a couple of times. And the game store we used to play at, 3D House of Games, it was in Mokina, Illinois, had their own little kind of pod set up. They had 8 of them where you could sit and you could play each other at the computer for so much an hour. And it was a lot of fun. And I'm just getting some nostalgia for this kind of stuff. My son Adam recently came from Adepticon and was telling us he played in the Battletech pods that they have at Adepticon. They usually have 4 to 8 of them there. And he played and he scored really high. He ran a Daiichi. So basically you get a look at what is Battletech and the prologue, the rise of the clans. And this is basically an intro. This is to give you an idea of what Battletech is, what it's about, and how you can play it if you've watched the TV show. And I like that. This is not canon. I never considered it canon, but apparently it's been decanonized long since. So there's the enhanced imaging that they use. The clan mechs have that, and eventually some of the Inner Sphere guys get it. It's kind of cool. And all these different things. We have episode 5, Trade Secrets. I'm only going to take a look at 5A, No Guts, No Galaxy. So it looks like they did 14 episodes. It's been a long time since I've watched them. These cartoon shows are available on YouTube. There are a couple of channels, or I've seen them in a few places, but there's one channel, I'll find it and put a link below, that has really good cleaned up copies of them, and they've interviewed a couple of the people involved with it over the years. It's just fun. I really got a kick out of first Somerset Strikers, the Battletech, this book, and then if you've seen my video on the Battletech toys, we used to have family mech fights where we would use the larger plastic toys that came from this series and we would blast each other. And our favorite, all of us liked the Hunchback, and that was my wife, myself, and my oldest son, Pat. And then when Patrick's little brother Adam was born, my wife was still in the hospital, having just had him, turned to me and said, "You realize, of course, we have to buy another Hunchback," because she wanted Adam to have one. The kid was about 2 days old. I said, "Absolutely," and went to the very early days of eBay, and I found myself one, and by the time he was old enough to actually do anything with it, we had it waiting for him. So This was a lot of fun. The toys were a lot of fun. This is great nostalgia for me in the mid 90s. Uh, Playing Battletech with my buddies, playing it with my son Pat when he was very young, and then when Adam got a little older, playing with him. I would take the pieces out, always the plastic ones, never the metal. We'd set up a little board, and then they'd throw dice, and I'd say, "Oh, that was great! Look that you got this," or "Oh, you missed! You're gonna shoot again," and stuff. And I skewed it, of course, so that they would win. I wasn't out there to kick their butts or anything. And I give them a really powerful mech, and I would take a weaker one, and we just kind of play. All the while, unbeknownst to them, they're learning numbers, adding, subtracting, critical thinking, all kinds of good stuff that games like this can teach. I've long been an advocate of teaching very young kids games like this because I really feel it helps their development. And both my kids did very well in school and have gone on to good jobs. So my wife and I did something right. I don't know. Maybe it was the family mech fights. I don't know. But there you have it. That's a very brief look at First Somerset Strikers. Just some nostalgia for me in the last couple of weeks just over Battletech. I've really been into it. If you saw my video a few weeks ago about Battletech, the CCG, the collectible card game, that was another thing I played at the time. Just Battletech was just so much fun in its heyday. And it's actually back. Catalyst Game Labs is doing a lot of stuff with Battletech, some of it innovative, some of it I'm excited about, some I'm not. I'm not going to go into that here. But it's still a good time to be into Battletech. We had some dark years in the early 2000s that weren't very fun, but then it got picked up by Gale Force 9 and did I say Gale Force 9? Catalyst Game Labs. Gale Force 9 makes Hextech terrain, if you saw my video for that. But I was talking about the actual Battletech game itself, and that's from Catalyst Game Labs. They've had it now since 09 or 10, right around in there. And they're at Adepticon each year. I couldn't go this year, unfortunately, but they're there every year. I met Michael Stackpole, one of the authors of a lot of the novels and short stories for Battletech. I met him last year at Adepticon, and we talked for quite a while, actually. And it's a lot of fun. It's great that it's back, and it's great that it's really popular. So there you have it. There's a look at First Somerset Strikers. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope my going nostalgic with Battletech isn't too irritating. I'm enjoying it. Let me know what you think. Please leave comments below, like and subscribe. Tell your friend. We're still growing the channel. Also, see if you can help me out on the Patreon. That would be fantastic. But that's all I've got today on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.